Welcome back. This week we're doing things a little bit different. You've been enjoying us. You've been enjoying us, all of it. You've been enjoying the new show for about, 4 or 5 months now at this point.
Yeah, it's about that.
Well, I think this is a 22nd episode, so we're looking at a good 5 months for sure. Yeah. So thank you for joining us for 5 months. If you're new, well, there's 5 months of back catalog you can watch, so there's that. But tonight we decided that after 5 months and 22 episodes, you should kind of figure out. You should get to know who actually is behind the camera and who helps do this show and why they're here with us. We're gonna start with you, Evan.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you here?
Like in this very spot right now?
in
Because
this
you're
very
making
spot,
me go
right?
first. That's why.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% making it go first. Yeah, it's gonna be great. No, why are you here? Why are you here at Day One?
I'm here at Day One because aside from broadcasting, I'm a huge gamer.
Okay.
Not much to say aside from that.
Because both of you are interning for Day One, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, we're both interning for different things. Because you're interning for journalism, and I think I'm the only broadcasting student with you guys, which is weird. And it's really made me feel like I've been, individualized.
You're an outcast.
But no, wanted to get a better sense of just camera work, especially in the news sector, doesn't hurt either. Kind of get my creative juices flowing, figure out how to live stream. Didn't really know how to do that online. Learning how to do OBS and whatnot, that's insane.
Yeah, right? That's a big difference from with the programs I'm teaching.
Yeah, just huge difference.
Right, and Matt the intern.
Yeah.
Same question, why are you here? Why are you here at Day One?
Oh man, I wanted to learn more about broadcasting in general, and the whole live stream aspect, just like you. I think it's a skill that we should be learning because this is something that has kind of surfaced in the last 5 years. It's really become popular and became Bernie Sanders as we found out.
That was one of our headlines. Bernie Sanders is streaming on Twitch. Yeah.
Like if Bernie Sanders is Twitch streaming now, I feel like as somebody in this industry that takes part in these kinds of things should also learn that. So I think that's part of it. I also like various video games, and I just like editing, shooting, just that whole atmosphere. So this has been a good fit for me.
Well, the one thing that both of you have mentioned is that you love playing video games. And here at Day One, we've played video games. We talk about video games. We breathe video games. You know it. I know it. They know it. So what type of game do you guys usually like to play?
Well, I'm obviously going to drop this. I'm a huge Borderlands fan. If you guys have read my bio on our Instagram, that's a huge thing. If there's any B-roll that's going to be playing behind me while we're talking about my aspect of things, it's going to be all Borderlands.
All Borderlands.
There we go. All Borderlands.
Yeah,
that's my gameplay footage.
Is that your gameplay footage?
That's all me.
Nice.
Yeah, that's Mad Moxie's Underdome.
Yeah. Oh man, I haven't played that in ages.
Was round 1 of 20 though. That was the hard way. So
interesting.
That took me. I went through about an hour and a half of that, and I only got about halfway done.
Oh yeah.
I got wrecked round 10.
I did all of it with my friend. And then it took us maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And at the end, we're like, oh my God, we're going to get something out of it. Nothing.
Yeah, I know.
And then we're thought, oh, well, maybe if we do all 3, we get something out of it. Yeah, no, still nothing. So I was like,
but it's fun.
Yeah.
I do play that, but I grew up on the NES. So like Super Mario 3 is one of my jams. But again, I'm only going to see Borderlands. But but I play pretty much anything in every game. Everything, sorry. My weaknesses, I will admit, the ones I avoid are sports, some racing games.
Yeah.
The Need for Speeds I can get into, the Burnouts I remember back when, but I try and go with the things I just like to blow stuff up in. So
okay,
that's my go-to.
Sweet. What about you?
For me, I like a lot of games. I love co-op. I love anything that I can sit on the couch with a bunch of friends and just see them deflate when I But my favorite games, one of my favorite games is StarCraft. I love StarCraft.
Yes.
I love the fast-paced kind of strategy games. StarCraft has also like a multiplayer element to it as well. If you play 4v4s, 3v3s, 2v2s.
Yeah. No, I want to go back a little bit because we were talking about like your first gaming moments, right?
Yeah.
And nowadays we're all playing online, we're all playing on the internet, we're all kind of like linked together to one another. What sort of, we all have gamer tags. We all have identification that shows we're a gamer. You're Imperfection, and yours is M-holes. I was gonna butcher that one, but M-holes. What's the story behind it? Because I'm actually curious to know, usually the story behind a gamer tag also goes along with the story of why you're a gamer, why you keep playing, right?
Right.
Do you have a story behind yours?
Well, actually, I gotta admit something. So I made up this one for the podcast because my other gamer tag is, I don't know, it's a little weird and whatever.
Well, now you gotta tell us.
Yeah. So my original gamer tag that I've always used is Splashing Monkey.
Okay.
Splashing Monkey.
Yeah, I have no
great.
idea why. It's just always been that, and that's what I originally chose, and that's what I've stuck with.
Okay.
But yeah, I changed it for this just because
can't
I
look
didn't
at
want to
you.
embarrass
Was
myself.
there a reason why it's that particular?
No, I was just a weird kid. I think I just wanted something cool, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
It was just I don't know. It just kind of happened.
Okay, we'll go with Splashing
That's
Monkey.
fantastic.
What about you, Evan?
Okay, well, mine didn't have that awesome of a backstory to it. No, this was way back when I first got my Xbox 360. I think I was maybe 18 at the time. So this goes back, right? What happened is when I first got live, it was my first time actually playing online, believe it or not.
Okay.
So I had a buddy who had a similar name, and I mean, it's not like I was trying to leech off of his, but I wanted something that would also kind of stand out rather than just have something with like a bunch of underscores or hashtags or just some stupid things. And I wanted something that would just be unique, but imperfection is like, you see something perfect, you might find it's boring and dull. I like something that has flaws. It shows its uniqueness, you know? I mean, realistically, I'm just pulling this out of my ass. No, I mean, Po Buddy's perfect. You want to have something that's gonna be you. And when I first put it in, it felt like me.
Byron, you're still doing your internship.
Yeah.
And Nomad, you were here at the creation of the project.
Yep.
Why? Like, why are both of you here? That's pretty much what I'm asking. Like, why work for Day One?
Because it's more board dude.
I guess maybe you should go first.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
I knew you.
You knew me, yeah.
We're colleagues, somewhat friends, maybe more sometimes.
Hey, boy.
And yeah, you guys pitched the idea that you're making a gaming show, and I was like, yeah, I like games, I like news. Why not try to combine the two?
Yeah.
So it was kind of a no-brainer to accept the invitation to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then after you were, because you were also part of the original member who helped out doing all the tests back in February and back in January,
yeah.
February when we were doing all this.
Yeah.
You were still requiring your internship, right?
Yeah.
So we thought that it would be maybe a good idea. You were on board with it, or like, was Day One your first?
I think it was my first choice.
Yeah, right?
Because like looking at what's available to me as a journalist was kind of like more communications jobs. I kind of wanted to do more news, and the fact that this was providing an outlet for gaming as well, it was like, yeah, well, I want to pick this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about you? Like, why are you with Day One?
So the thing with, because I'm also a colleague of yours and Brian's, one of the things that made me want to join this was the fact that it gave me something that's new that normally we aren't accustomed to. Like, we're basically, how I was taught was that we were doing the journalism that is very typical of what we do, like, you know, going out, interviewing people, and going through politics or whatever. But I've never seen anyone really doing video game news and something like this flexible. So that is something that really gravitated me towards this project.
What kind of favorite games? Like, what's your favorite game?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna say, what's your favorite game of all time? And then what's the game that you just like, you can't stop playing, can't deal?
I think for me personally, a game that I've played since they've made them and continued to play them is Battlefield.
Yeah.
The Battlefield series for me personally is kind of my bread and butter. I don't know if it's like when I play first-person shooters, which is kind of my main bulk of gaming. I think of like Call of Duty, you think of like Battlefield, you think of Doom, several series. But what like gravitates me towards Battlefield specifically is squad play.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
communication isn't always there, obviously, but when it is there, you and a group of people working together to kick some ass is very rewarding, I think.
Okay.
And it's not like your own actions are just yourself, you so lone wolfing killing everyone. It kind of matters what you're doing with your friends and the people that you're with, and it kind of makes the experience more fulfilling, I think, because other people are depending on you.
And out of the Battlefield series of games, there one in particular you're like hands on field.
I think so. It's playing right behind us.
That's Battlefield 1, right?
Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
Definitely. It had it was a weird kind of transition. Like Battlefield 3, 4, and the ones before it were kind of more like, here's a sandbox shooter. Battlefield 1 kind of changed it where here's a immersive experience versus a sandbox shooter. I felt like that game, I felt like I was in World War I, running at a machine gun and dying over and over again. And as messed up as that is, and as messed up as the people that experienced it were, I feel like it gave me a good insight into what life
looked
could have
like.
been like.
Yeah. What about you?
Okay. So when it comes to favorite games, I have too many.
Yeah.
But if I want to pick a plateau, I picked 3 for this. Metal Gear Solid.
Like the series, or is there a game in particular?
Normally the series, but I guess in this case, Metal Gear Solid 1.
Okay.
Dragon Quest 11, obviously.
Yeah, of
I
course.
had to talk about Dragon Quest eventually. And one that I never really brought up was Deus Ex, the original.
Okay.
So one of the things that made me really enjoy, I'll just go in order for this. One of the things I really enjoyed about Metal Gear Solid was that this was kind of like the first game, if we're talking from a historical standpoint, one of the first games to have proper voice acting. Because before, voice acting was pretty shit.
Yeah.
But this time we had basically movie quality forms of basically voice acting. And the character development in Metal Gear Solid was so good and so impactful to me. Like there's a moment in the game that I'm not gonna spoil, but I bring it up anyways because I'm terrible at it. One of the most important things about Metal Gear Solid, there's this in the scene, is that we get to finally see the moment that Snake kind of breaks down and basically shows who he is as a person.
Okay.
Like, because he's a soldier, right? But most people see soldiers as like dogs of war, but he has to show that he's human too.
Right.
And that's very important. Dragon Quest 11, because it's playing on screen right now, because I've noticed that, is it's a game that actually came out last year, actually, last fall, and it came out, and it's gonna come out again this coming September for the Switch.
Okay.
And I've said this loads of times. It was the 30th anniversary,
Yeah.
like 30 whatever anniversary this year, yada yada yada. But what I loved about the game was that it was the perfect RPG for me. It is the most balanced RPG I've ever played. We got good story, we got good characters, we got good gameplay and all that stuff. One of the things I value from a game design standpoint is actually video games that have a solid foundation and balance towards everything. You can be very unique with what games you want to have or what game mechanics you can have, but if you don't perfect the fundamentals, it's not going to be great for me, in my opinion.
Okay.
So that's why I enjoy Dragon Quest 11. Deus Ex is a very interesting game because it's all about controversy, so this is very topical because Area 51's a thing recently.
We were reading news. We were reading
Got a
news
storm.
in the room where we do all the headline stuff. And there's a tiny little county called like Lincoln County. I think
Lincoln
that's like
County,
right next to Area 51. There's 184 residents. And all their campgrounds and all their hotels are booked completely. Like there's
They're expecting,
nothing.
what's the number, like 2 million people?
So 1.4 million people said they were gonna go.
Expected to go.
Of course, I'm not expecting 1.4 million to go, right?
Yeah.
But even if just 10,000 people show up,
That's
it's gonna
gonna-
fuck up the entire town.
Harrison, definitely.
But yeah, sorry.
And then, well, we get to go to Area 51 in Deus Ex. You can't Naruto run though.
Oh.
That's the sad part. That's the really sad
Definitely a
part.
shame.
But it's basically government conspiracy, great story, and loads of freedom. You can do whatever you want. There's an NPC you hate, you can kill it. You can kill bosses really early in the game. It's like, that's how free it is.
Okay.
And it's only on PC, but those are my favorite games.
Never heard anybody named Byron. Never heard anybody named Nomad. So why did you guys pick those kind of gamer tags and identify yourself as a gamer under those names?
You want first?
You want to go?
Sure. It's not as cool, but so I go by the Almighty Byron.
Yeah.
That's my current Twitch channel. I also go by Dark Chocolate Hunk, which is my my Steam name. Not
I
actually,
love it so
not
much.
actually Dark Chocolate Hunk, but that's just.
What do you mean? Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this.
I told the story before of the chocolate bar, so you guys probably are familiar with that. My other one was Lord Brian of Branshire, which is my Discord name. But I got the Almighty Byron actually was from high school. I think it was in grade 10 or 11. I started a poker table at my school where people could join with some other people. It was in the cafeteria first. Later moved into the library before we got kicked out for gambling, and then we went back to the cafeteria. But one of the friends that I played with regularly, his name was Jared. He would call me the Almighty Baron for whatever reason, like, I don't know, I think it was because one time, like my first time I ever played with him, I had mad beginner's luck.
Yeah.
And I kicked everyone's ass, and I won a lot of like low money, but money.
Yeah.
So he praised me, calling me the Almighty Byron, kind of doing that. And I was like, okay, sure. But then every time I would get to the table, like going forward for the next like 3 years, he would call me the Almighty Byron in like a British accent
Yeah.
for some reason. And then it just stuck.
Okay.
And I just kept it, and now it's my gamer tag in most things.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
Very, very simple, I see. Mine's the most nerdy thing possible. So I got Nomad because the first Metal Gear I ever played was Metal Gear Solid 4,
Yeah.
and that was the first time I've ever got introduced to the series. And Nomad is the name of the air carrier that carried Old Snake.
It would be.
It carried Old Snake and Otacon as they travel when they're off site. Yeah, I named myself after an air carrier.
Very
because
nice.
I am a fucking nerd like that.
Nice.
It used to be just Nomad until I played Dragon Quest XI. Then I added Luminary at the end because Luminary is the title of the main protagonist, and everything he does is, he's a god, obviously.
yeah.
Dragon Quest XI is all that stuff. So really, my two names, if we're gonna go very simple, is because Metal Gear Solid and Dragon Quest XI means a lot to me, and so I named myself after those two.
So Asterix and Apollo, everybody knows Apollo because most of the community that watches this show comes from Apollo's stream. So thank you for joining us after watching Apollo 2. We appreciate it. But first of all, I'm going to switch it up and ask why Apollo and why Asterix as a gamer tag.
Mine is based off of a super nerdy concept that I learned in like my first year of history class. God, that was ages ago. That was like 2011. 2010 now that I'm thinking of it. Oh my God, I'm old. I learned about a painter while I was in this really amazing mythology class. And I was obsessed with the Greek gods. And then I found there was a guy named Apollodorus who was a Greek painter who no one knows about, but he was known for creating the weirdest frescoes on vases. It sounded pretty in link with my personality.
So you stuck with it.
I create some really weird art, so I stuck with this dude, except I am the 5. That is also a very bad 2000s joke of dead mouse. I'm so sorry. I'm so old.
Oh, yeah, well, you're not known as Evan, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Evan. What about you? Why Asterix?
First off, I'm actually surprised because I thought you were talking about the sun god.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's where I thought Apollo came from, but this
Yeah.
is so much better.
That's where a lot of the art comes from, to be fair, so.
Okay, good to know. My name is actually probably going to beat everyone else for nerdiness because it derives from the keyboard when you press Shift and 8 to get that star, which is the asterisk symbol. And the reasoning for that is because for those of you who don't know, I was a comp sci major and an engineering major at one point, but now I'm a journalism major.
Yeah.
So in programming, that star is basically a wildcard, which means if you have star.txt, for example, as a function, you find all the files that end in .txt.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in English, it basically means the omission of content. So I had Asterix, a computer geek and writer, that finds what's been lost.
Now that we know who you are, I want to know why you're here, right? And I want to start with you because I think your answer is going to be a lot longer. But I want to know why you're here, why you're working here for Day One.
Okay, well, I'm in the journalism program, so I learned a lot of skills that I really can't apply to anything until I get a job, which is kind of pointless. So I really wanted to animate, and there's not a lot of outlets for me to do that. So I animate here, and I really like the tech theme that you guys have going on, so that really suited my style. So I wanted to give this a try and kind of showcase what I can do, sort of, maybe.
Because we can thank you for all the graphics that you, like, that's your
Like
graphic
every
right there,
single
right?
one, yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, hey, thanks for being on board. I appreciate it. Now, here's a bit of a different story, because I don't know if many people in the audience know this, but we started Day One together. We made this like a thing that happened. So why did you want to start Day One?
I realized that on Twitch, as amazing as it was, there was something missing, and it was because I was watching all these IRL streams, all these creative streams, all these gaming streams, and everyone, whenever I talk to them, they think Twitch is either dying or it's just gaming. And I realized that there was a huge potential in live streaming, but you couldn't get that on YouTube because there's so many restrictions. So Twitch was a very open platform to be able to be creative. You could do whatever you wanted. There was cooking excuse me, there's like anything that you wanted to do on there, and if you could press play, you could stream it. And while some people have taken that too far, we kind of took that into a journalism side of it, and I think it's been a difficult road, but I think it's an important area to at least explore, because every time I go into a classroom these days, it's hearing journalism is dying.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that. I think it's evolving into something that no one can really predict, because no one can predict the internet. No one could ever see where the internet went and how it just became a brainchild of its own. So,
What's your favorite game, and how do you think that game developed your life as it is right now? Yeah, I know. I'm throwing some questions they have no fucking clue to answer right now.
So
Wanna go first or?
well, it's a real even split between Halo and Assassin's Creed, and I don't know if I can lean either way, because I feel like I'd be betraying my best friend.
Just do it. Put the knife in their back.
Like, I cannot choose between my love for Ezio and Chief. I just can't do it. So either way, Halo made me want to join the military. Ezio made me want to do parkour. I did neither. Well, I tried both of them and I broke an arm, so you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't for lack of trying.
There was effort. But yeah, no, it gave me my history and it gave me my interest in technology. So I could never. I'm two different people in like one interest. I can't do it. You're stressing me out.
Hey.
Go to her.
Okay. Hey.
So, okay. I actually got into video games pretty late. I played a bunch of like really small time video games like Pokemon when I was younger. So I really like RPGs, but I got into Devil May Cry about 7 years ago, give or take. And yeah, Devil May Cry is awesome, as you can see in the.
No, this is
That's
mine.
that's
Actually,
Halo,
no,
yeah.
That's
never
mine.
mind. Never
They
mind.
use my clip.
That's
I'm
mine.
sort of waiting, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, Devil May Cry, awesome series. It actually helped me a lot with design, I think, just because I really like the aesthetic they had going on. The definitive version definitely was kind of a letdown compared to the other stuff in the series, but I love it so much that I have to say I still love the definitive version,
Yeah.
even though the entire fandom hates it. So.
And how do you think being a gamer affects your day-to-day life? Like, how does it transfer from video game to grocery store kind of deal? Like,
I don't think I'd be an artist without it.
Yeah, I think it really helps the creative aspect, just because there's a lot of things that you don't really think about until you play video games. Because there are like, for example, storylines in video games. Lots of them are complex. Some of them are really good, some of them are really bad. You kind of take what you got from the two of them, and then you can make your own content from that, I think.
Yeah, no, I think every time I play a new video game, I learn a different type of aesthetic, because people are putting their souls into these creations, like they're moving paintings. It's like Harry Potter-esque. But even just like watching you play Zelda was inspiring me for stuff for my own stream. Like I'm sitting here thinking about the way that they use color to make it look like it's glowing from the inside. I play video games because not just because of the story and the characters and the people involved, but because the way that it makes you feel and the way that the looks affect those emotions. I don't think Zelda would be the same without that glow.
I heard earlier that since I was going to be doing like the host and interviewing all of them, they wanted to do me, and I realized how to say it out loud.
We're gonna do you.
You're going to do me and do me real good.
Yeah.
That sounds wrong, but right.
Now it's 7:30. We've
Yeah.
been keeping it 20 minutes each. By 7:50, we are cutting this off.
Hey, I'm
So
game.
you have 20 minutes.
20 minutes, son.
Go ahead. I am stepping into the shadows. If we can switch the cameras, I'm stepping in the shadows
need
and letting them
10 minutes.
interview the rest.
I got papers ready for this.
Oh shit. Okay.
All right. So, Winter,
Yes.
where'd you get your name from?
Blank piece of paper on
The
there.
pieces are blank.
Oh man. Okay.
Quality.
The first console I ever got was the 360. Okay. And that console was the first one that I actually be able to like plug in the internet and play, because I for some reason I was a dumb child and I didn't realize you could plug the original Xbox into like an internet port and just play kind of deal. So when I got I know, right? When I got a 360, I realized I needed a gamer tag. And that was the first time I ever had to create a gamer tag. And I didn't know what to do, so I was browsing the pages of all like the random ones they come up with, and they come up with Winter Solid, and I'm like, that's fucking stupid. Like, why would I pick Winter Solid? And my dad walks in and he starts laughing his ass off, and he's like, "Are you naming yourself that?" I was like, sure, maybe. Why? And he's like, because you're Canadian. Everybody gonna know you're Canadian on stream, and you're gonna play with a bunch of Americans. They're gonna fucking hate you. And he walks off, and I couldn't stop thinking, yeah, that'd be pretty funny actually. So I just picked that. And the thing is, I was like super underage at the time, right? So I didn't have any way to buy games or anything else. So I had to get one of my parents to be on the email that was linked to my account. And when I moved out, I realized they had no idea what the actual email was, so I lost the original gamer tag that I had. So from then on, every gamer tag that I had to put on any other platform in any place has been a new iteration of Winter Solid. So Winter Solid 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, and all Roman numerals, right?
Oh,
so it's been
wow.
going on ever since.
But that being said, you got your name playing all these systems, but that makes me want to ask, what's your favorite game? Oh shit.
Is there shooting?
So here, when I was a kid, I didn't speak English, and I can barely speak English to this day. You've been warned. So I didn't know what the names of games were.
Oh.
Yeah, because all the names of games back in Quebec were all in English. There's no French translation, especially from Japan. They just put the American label on it and you go on, right? So the first game I've ever played was, I think, oh my god, it would have been the original Smash Bros. On Nintendo 64.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Good choice. And then I realized that I couldn't buy it, and I didn't own a 64. I had to go to like my neighbor's place and just play. Like it would get to the point where I go to my neighbors to play video games instead of hanging out with my neighbor, right? So when I got the first console I ever got was the 64, and then later on got the GameCube. But all the games I had on my 64 didn't work for whatever reason. Like it was just really broken, and the GameCube had just come out. So my parents just took the 64 away from me and gave me the GameCube. And then, for whatever reason, as soon as I got the GameCube, the 64 started working, and they couldn't afford buying me the games for the GameCube. So I went back to playing 64. Like I had the console, the GameCube, but I had to go back to 64. And they bought me Super Mario 64, the one where you jump into like the actual paintings, right?
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've been like a Nintendo kid. Like I haven't stopped playing any sort of Nintendo game. And to this day, my favorite game is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of
Time.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time. Wow, Jesus. And to the point where I got it like tattooed all on my shoulder. Like I don't know if the people in the stream have seen it. And a couple times when I wear a shirt short enough, there's an entire Master Sword with a Triforce
it's on
it,
there.
right? Yeah, I think it's on there.
It's on there.
So,
Can I take it off?
well, I would, but my beautiful
Even if you
nipples
don't
would be
see it,
showing.
it's there.
So,
Oh, and there it is.
yeah, there it is. Oh
There
my
it
god,
is.
it's so old. And ever since then, I've been hooked on I've played. There's 23 Zelda games to date. Most, like half of those are iterations they remade. Out of the 23, I've played 11, and I'm not counting because I'm not gonna be playing Majora's Mask on the GameCube and the DS, right? So it's pretty much the same game. So yeah, that might be my favorite game of all time.
That's the best Spirit Tracks.
I did play Spirit Tracks,
You played Spirit.
and I was very ashamed to play Spirit Tracks. But now that I got the Switch and I was playing Breath of the Wild, woo! Like that might be my favorite game so far. Like Breath of the Wild is
A
amazing.
lot of people are saying that it's possibly even better than Ocarina of Time.
It's like a
scored. I think it scored just as high as Ocarina of
yeah,
Time.
it's
didn't
like
it?
kind of like a reimagining of this franchise itself.
Yeah.
To a more like modern RPG.
I
While
can't.
keeping all the original kind of vibe.
I can't wait for the second one
Yeah.
to come out. It's gonna be amazing.
It's not going to be out for a while,
Underground
though.
Hyrule.
Yeah.
With skinny Ganon,
Whatever his name is.
whatever his name is.